Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first edition of Reali-T, starring yours truly, Travis Falhark, aka Travis F-H from RumblingRumors.com. We are actually in the midst of Wrestlemania season now. The Royal Rumble will finally start as of tonight. I'm sorry for the delay. This video actually was supposed to be up about a day ago. Unfortunately, because of technical difficulties and issues, it had to be pushed back a little bit, but I was doing my best to get everything in order before the Rumble tonight because I wanted to talk about the Royal Rumble a little bit. Before we go into the Royal Rumble stuff, though, what about that NXT TakeOver special? San Antonio was awesome to watch. The tag team titles changed hands, to my surprise, and even more so to my surprise, the NXT title changed hands. That definitely was something that I didn't expect to happen so soon. Do I think it was the right call? I don't know. It was up for debate, only because the title had changed hands so many times already in between of a 6-month period that I wasn't really thinking that they would make the leap like that, but I'm not really disappointed that they did. I like Bobby Roode. I've been a Bobby Roode fan ever since his TNA days. I'm glad to see him now on the WWE stage and on NXT, especially as NXT champion. I can't be more happy. I was thrilled with the result, and I personally thought the injury angle, I've been reading a lot online that people weren't too thrilled of the injury situation, and I thought honestly that was a good way to continue the story because now there's not only a rematch clause that can be invoked, but then there's also the fact that he can say that the injury from doing the Kinshasa, I believe it's how it's pronounced, or Kinshasa, on the apron where he then landed on his left knee, they can easily use that as part of the story too. So I wasn't really too disappointed at that. Overall, I think the NXT TakeOver special, it wasn't one of their greatest, but it definitely wasn't a horrible one. I thought it was very well done. And at the end of the day, we got more to come because we always will have NXT Orlando coming up here in March, which will be April actually, right around WrestleMania season time. So be a good time there too, especially to see some of these rematches. Authors of Pain, of course, became the tag team champions. Asuka retained the title. Ty Dillinger could have potentially had his swan song last night on NXT. We'll see how that plays out tonight, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. Then we saw, honestly, I thought it could have been the show stealer of the match. I don't think it necessarily was, but it definitely proved a lot about Roderick Strong and Andre Cien Almas. Both guys definitely went out with something to prove and did so. I thought they had a great matchup. The crowd was into it at times, and there were times where they were a little more quiet than others, but that's okay. I honestly thought it was a good, solid match from both guys, and I expect to see good things from both men here in the near future. So much for the NXT. Let's move on now to the Royal Rumble tonight. It's always one of those fun pay-per-views because of the Royal Rumble match itself. We're going to run through the card real quick. I'll give my predictions on each match at the end of the video, but I just kind of want to run through the card real quick. We've got the Women's Championship match, Bayley versus Charlotte. The feud itself has kind of had its slow moments. Overall, the story's pretty basic. You have the genetic gift of Charlotte versus the fan forever of Bayley. And both girls are very well adept to having great matches. I don't expect this one to be anything less. And I do expect the feud, no matter how it turns out, to continue going. I think Charlotte and Bayley have a lot of potential that it's still untapped, and I think we're going to see more of that. And I honestly see this feud going to WrestleMania in a main event style, maybe with some Stephanie McMahon involvement. They've kind of teased it already. There's been some backstage rumors that is the case. We'll see how that plays out. I personally would like to see Stephanie get involved in some form or fashion. The next match that we want to talk about, there's not very many actually on the card. I was kind of a little disappointed that they are going to have basically a 4-hour Royal Rumble, and yet there's only 5 matches on the entire card. That's a lot of time to fill. Hopefully they can pull it off. The Cruiserweight Championship is on the line in a match that I think can potentially raise a lot of eyebrows too. Adrian Neville, or just Neville as he's called, versus Rich Swann for the Cruiserweight title. Definitely going to be an appealing matchup. Neville has been on such a tear recently. It's been wonderful to see. I love the heel turn. I think it's exactly what he needed. He's actually showcasing a lot more charisma being a heel than he ever was as a face. Personally, I love it. And I love that he calls himself the king of the cruiserweights. It fits him. I think this whole moniker that he's going on as king of the cruiserweights has been phenomenal. I don't expect anything less than a good matchup between the two. And Rich Swann is always as entertaining as ever, so I don't expect anything less than excitement and entertainment from this match from start to finish. The next match that we got to talk about is the Universal title, which is going to be Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. Chris Jericho is going to be hung above the ring in a shark cage. Kind of old school feel to it type of match. Going back to the shark cage, we saw that, of course, actually at the last NXT TakeOver special with the Authors of Pain and TM61 with Paul Ellering being in a shark cage. Now we'll get to see Chris Jericho in the same situation. This match has been pretty well done in regards to how they've told the story. It's pretty simplistic in and of itself. There's not really a whole lot to go on. To me, the story has been more so of Kevin and Chris, more so than it's been Roman and Kevin. But maybe that's how they've been plaguing it. I don't know. But definitely I think it's going to be a pretty solid match. I don't expect it to be a 5-star classic. I expect Roman Reigns to get booed relentlessly, which I really wish that people would stop doing that in regards to just the fact that, okay, at one point he was picked as being the next guy for the company. I think his momentum in that department has dwindled greatly. And I didn't mind him being U.S. champion. I thought he was a great U.S. champion. I thought that's exactly what he needed to kind of get back on the right pace. Do I still think a heel turn would be beneficial to him? Absolutely. I think it would be still a good idea for him to eventually go heel. That'll be for another time, though. I don't think that is going to happen anytime here soon, but I do think it should be beneficial to him at some point in the future. Kevin Owens is going to be entertaining as ever. Kevin Owens, his in-ring work speaks for himself. From the time that he debuted on the main roster with John Cena's the trilogy of matches they had, he's been flawless when it comes to any kind of match that you throw at him. So I really don't expect that to be anything less than what you get from KO all the time. I do think it'll be a pretty solid match. I think they can tell a pretty good story, and they'll have a lot of time to do so. Do I think Chris Jericho will get involved? I do believe so. Somehow, some way, still, I think Chris Jericho will get involved in the match. But we shall see. We've got the WWE Championship match, which, I mean, I think it's kind of speaking for itself in regards to who I'm going for. I know I was going to wait till the end of the show, but I think it's kind of obvious. But AJ Styles, John Cena, this right here to me is going to be the show stealer of the night. It doesn't matter what match. I think it's going to be even better than the Royal Rumble. The Rumble's always fun, but I honestly do not expect it to even touch AJ Styles and John Cena. Both guys are at the top of their game. Styles especially. This is going to be... We're now just a little over his 1-year anniversary in WWE, and in the first year, his very first title within his first year was the WWE title. Speaks volumes to how the company feels about him as a top echelon star. We already know how John Cena is. John Cena, Big Match John, as JBL likes to call him, he lives up to that moniker. 100% lives up to that moniker. He definitely does bring his A game all the time. People, of course, do the Cena sucks chants now still, and they still do the let's go Cena, Cena sucks chants. But at the end of the day, I can't hate John Cena. I just can't. Am I always going to be his biggest fan? No, probably not. When it comes to the in-ring character, the actual person, I have utmost respect for and admire him greatly for what he has done outside the ring. Seems like a very good human being to be around on a personal level. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. He was very cordial to every fan that he met, and he could have been a top echelon star that didn't want anything to do with the fans even when I met him the second time around, and yet he still was signing autographs, taking pictures, anything that he could with the fans. It was good. I mean, Cena as a character and as a man outside the ring is awesome. In-ring work is always impeccable as of the last couple of years. I don't expect anything less. These two have already showcased that they can have phenomenal matches, no pun intended, to begin with. And again, I do not expect anything less than both their best in the WWE title match here tonight at the Royal Rumble. Speaking of now, the best match of the night, the Royal Rumble. So much can go on in the Rumble. There have been 21 participants announced. I think this is actually going to be one of the few times that they've had the most people unannounced for the Rumble. And you've already got 3 huge names to talk about in the Rumble already. Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg, who would have saw that coming a year ago. Definitely not me. Those are 3 names right off the bat that can sell you on that Rumble match to begin with. And you've got 9 open slots for whoever. You still got surprise entrants, which there's 2 NXT stars in particular that have been rumored to show up at the Rumble tonight. And of course, one of them already seems to have the number 10 spot taken care of. Anybody who can get on that 10 bandwagon. Mr. Ty Dillinger is supposedly going to be debuting tonight in the Rumble. Hopefully he does, in my opinion, and hopefully he'll go to SmackDown. Another guy that I hope goes to SmackDown that is rumoredly to debut on the main roster tonight. We haven't seen him on NXT in over a month, so it would be perfect timing. Samoa Joe. There's also another rumor of who he could be facing at WrestleMania, and I don't like to give anything away since nothing has really been confirmed, but with the way if certain things play out a certain way, tonight in 2 particular matches, we could potentially see a pretty awesome WrestleMania match, and it could be for a WWE title too. You never know. But I personally would love to see Samoa Joe finally get on the main roster, and that in and of itself would be an awesome Rumble surprise. Like I said, 21 announced participants thus far, 9 are still unannounced, and it can go either way. It's really hard to pick a favorite in this match just because there's so many guys in here that I would love to see get an opportunity like that. But honestly, when it comes down to it, there's only one guy, and there's been one guy that I think is somebody to watch tonight that I don't think a lot of people have thought about him winning, but I thought about it this week because I've been trying to figure out who I would want to win the Rumble, and I couldn't ever think of really anybody except this one guy finally came to me, and I was like, I'd like to see him do it, and what if he does? Because I think he's got a great chance to do it. I'll get to that momentarily. So, the Rumble match itself is going to be absolutely awesome. Can't wait to see how it plays out, and of course we'll have more news and everything to discuss next week. Again, my apologies for the first episode taking a little bit longer to get up on the site. It was something that I wish could have been avoided just because I had been trying for the last 24 hours to get a video to you guys because we had been promising you an episode, and I promised you that it would happen, and it didn't deliver yesterday, so I apologize on that front, but hopefully this episode, even though it may be a little short than what we may have in the upcoming episodes, hopefully at least whet your appetite for reality of wrestling with yours truly. I hope it does bring you on back. I hope you come on back while Rumbling Reality is on the hiatus. We plan to bring that back too, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's go through the predictions real quick for tonight. For the women's title match between Bayley and Charlotte, I don't see anybody else except Charlotte taking that match. I can't say Bayley is going to win right now. I think Charlotte, the queen of pay-per-views, is going to maintain that moniker and retain the women's championship tonight. On the cruiserweight front, I really hope Adrian Neville becomes cruiserweight champion tonight. I think, honestly, I like Rich Swann, but Neville's just been on this tear in this role that I really think he deserves to be the cruiserweight champion. It's been awesome to see his heel turn. He's had some of his best promo work done during this run, and I hope that they reward him with that cruiserweight title tonight. Then we've got the Universal title match with Jericho and Owens. I can't really... this is a hard one, honestly. I'm going to have to go with KO on this one. I like Kevin Owens as Universal Champion, and I hope KO retains the title tonight, and I hope he goes all the way to Mania. I'd love to see him make his No, it wouldn't. I'm sorry, it would not be his WrestleMania debut. But I hope that he gets to WrestleMania and defends the title. I think that would be really a cool feat for him to have. Then we've got the WWE title match. Again, I don't think I really need to express it because I'm wearing it. I'm picking AJ Styles in that one. My boy, I've been a fan of his ever since I first discovered him. Granted, I had watched and seen him before in WCW, but that was right at the tail end of when the doors were closing, so he didn't really get to shine in WCW. I've watched him through his entire TNA process and became the phenomenal AJ Styles there. Went on to New Japan. I've been by his side. He's kind of like... Sting is my favorite wrestler of all time. To me, he's just like another Sting. Made his name elsewhere, has come to the big leagues, and is showcasing what he can do. I'm going with my boy Styles on that one. The Royal Rumble match with all the rumors of who could potentially make a surprise visit, which there are two other names I forgot to mention. Rey Mysterio's Lucha Underground contract expired, so there's already rumors circling he could make a special appearance in the Rumble tonight. And then, of course, Finn Balor, out with an injury, has said to been going through some rigorous testing this week to see if he could make it to the Rumble. So you never know. The Demon may show up. But for me, I honestly am going to go with this pick. I would love to see it happen. Do I think it can happen? I think it can. But do I think it will? We'll see. I personally am picking to win the Royal Rumble tonight, Bray Wyatt. I am going out on a limb and picking the dark horse, Eater of Worlds, to win tonight. Bray Wyatt, I think, can do it, and I hope he does. So, those are my predictions. Comment, like this video if you enjoyed the Rumbling Rumors new TV show or internet show, since we're on the internet. Hope you enjoyed this first episode of Reali-T with Travis Falhark. Leave your own predictions in the comment section and like this video. Go follow me on Twitter under my name at Travis_Falhark, FOWLHARK. And as always, stay tuned. I will be back next week with more rumors. We'll go over the Rumble results and we'll go over some news as well. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this. And on a side note and final note for the evening, stay cool, brah.